when I'm introducing yourself, reading some of the things that you're into currently, you wear so many hats. So how would you define yourself now?
Busy. I don't know. I don't really give it a title. I think I'm always pursuing the things that I want to build and create, and, wherever the chips fall, it's kind of where I end up.
Yeah, just take us through your reinvention journey. What sparked it from music, and how did you even get to discover the passions that you have?
I think for me it really started, I guess just younger. I always felt like if I want to do something, I just have to kind of do it. If I see someone else doing it, like there's something that I can't do, right? Like I always feel like if she can do it, I can do it. Let's just figure this out. I think I've always kind of been that way. So when I signed my first deal, I was really young, and then I had about 10 years of my career, and I just decided I needed a break. And it was just like, why not? I had nothing to prove, and I felt like, I'm gonna go to culinary school. And so I went, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. And, then started doing that, and then years passed, and I decided I want to farm. I want to have more control over the food that I'm cooking, and how do I do that? And so I just decided, well, I'm definitely a jump-in kind of person, so I got some land and started planting stuff, and I realized, oh, this is amazing, and there's a lot of power in this, and there's a lot of control in this. And then it just became this whole lifestyle change. So it's never really like the plan to reinvent. I think it's sort of just, I see something that makes sense to me, and I want to be a part of it.
In the audience, we have young people, and when you're talking about why not, go for it. You want to do it, just do it. One thing that comes to mind is, as young people, or even people from my generation, is growing up, you're told you can be one person. You can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, but we're now living in a time where you can be who you want to be. So maybe just to talk to the young people here about the importance of not letting fear, I guess, hold you back, and the freedom to express, the freedom to think, just outside that box that society has put you in.
I think that's a big part of it. I think the boxes that we put so that we understand things can be really hindering. For me, especially in my music career, I think I was always fighting against this classification, right? They're like, well, what is she? What does she do? What is it? Where do we put her? What radio station does she belong on? And I hated that. I just felt like it just didn't make any sense to me. I think for me, the biggest thing has always been talking to my grand people, our grands basically, right? And looking at how many lives they've lived. Have you ever noticed when you talk to someone who's in their 70s or 80s and you're like, damn, you did so much. Like, they lived so many lives, and it was because it's just time. We have so much more time than we think we do. And I think for me, that's something I'm constantly reminding myself. I'm not done until I'm done, right? And so it's not about being afraid, because being afraid of what? I think the biggest fear is always not doing something for me. It's like, I don't ever want to have regrets about something I wanted to do that I didn't do. So I'd rather fail at it and just do it than say I never did it. I think that for me has always been the driving force. So my advice would just be jump in. Really, what's the very worst that can happen, right? It's like, and if you fall, you get back up.
Amazing. What's the very worst that could happen? But also, when you're looking at it from a different angle, someone might say also not mastering one particular thing in itself, you might end up losing out a lot. So would you say that there is really two ways to look at it, being a master of one or a jack of all trades?
I think there's a fine line, right? So it's like, how do you know what you're great at or what you love to do until you try it? I don't say do a million things at one time, but you can start something and say, actually, I don't like this, I'm not good at it, or this is not what I thought it was, right? And then start something else. Don't give it too much time, but I think it's a fine line between the difference of like doing too many things and not succeeding at any of them versus saying, I'm not really sure, let me try something and see what happens. I think there's a difference there.
Okay, creativity is really fundamental when it comes to even everything you're doing, whether it's agriculture or you being in the kitchen preparing something or even you being an entrepreneur. But when you're looking at the demands of running a business, being a woman, that in itself comes with heaviness of its own. How do you balance, I'd say, the heaviness that comes with entrepreneurship with also being creative, not losing out on your creativity?
Oh, that's a good one. I think, I'll be honest, there's always a sacrifice. I'm a mother of 3, I'm an artist, I run a business, I have a farm, I have a few farms actually, so I'm busy. something's always going to have to, you're going to have to learn to juggle. You have to learn to multitask. As women, we naturally do that well. There's always a sacrifice, though, right? Like, could I be better at something else? Maybe. Could I spend more time in the kitchen? Could I spend more time on stage? Could I spend more time in the studio? Probably. But I think because I've chosen these mediums, now I've created my own balance. But it's a job. It's not an easy thing. And then you also have to prioritize what's the most important thing to you. For me, it's, yeah, I want to be creative, but I'm creative whether people see me being creative or not. So I'm not as concerned or consumed with that. I'm more concerned with, do I feel like I validated myself? Did I do what I set out to do? And are my kids able to see me doing it? I think that for me is always where I find my balance.
Yeah, I think maybe also do take us along with you, your agriculture journey. When you think of agriculture, you think it's something that is being done in the rural parts of different countries. It's something that's young people are not attracted to really get into it. It's very much not attractive. So a global music icon, and then you're now interested in agriculture. How did that journey look like? And how would you, maybe if you were to speak to young people as well, looking at agriculture differently as investment potential? I
mean, I'm American, right? I'm a Black American woman. It's not sexy to Black American young people either. I think it's starting slowly to become. I think people are starting to see it, but when I started, it definitely was not, and I got a lot of flack for it. But I mean, if the images that we see of who's controlling, listen, you've got land, you've got food, you've got government, like these are the main things that are controlling your society, right? And the culture and the vibe of wherever you're at, right? And so if you can control a piece of that, where farming is such a huge part of that, when we talk about, food and sustainability and power and control, what you eat, how you eat it, how you grow it, that's one of the most powerful things you can do. To me, there's really nothing sexier than farming, if I'm honest. I think it's the flyest thing I could do. And I think it's because it's power. There's nothing like being a woman and standing in the soil and saying, this is mine, and I can now feed my family. And no matter what's happening in the world, no matter what's happening, whether it's political or social, whatever's happening, it doesn't affect how I survive and how the quality of my life. That's dope. Like, to me, that's the coolest thing I could possibly do. And it gives you control, and it gives you power, and it gives you the ability to help and to share with other people and to build community. For me, that's pretty fly.
Yeah. What advice would you give to a young creative who wants to also just bank on their passion, but also not compromising their creative voice?
I mean, listen, I hate to say it this way, but the honest to God truth is, like I said, there's always going to be sacrifice, there's always going to be compromise. You have to decide what you're going to compromise, right? So if it's your message that you don't want to compromise, you're going to have to compromise somewhere else, right? If that's and you have to decide what kind of artist, what kind of creative you really want to be. I decided many years ago what kind of artist I was going to be, and so I didn't have to waver from that because I set out understanding exactly who I was. I knew there were lines that I wouldn't cross. I knew that there were things that I wouldn't do. I knew there were things I wouldn't say. And so it kept me out of a lot of stuff, good stuff and bad stuff, right? So you have to just these are very definitive decisions that have to be made. Anyone that tells you otherwise is lying. There will be sacrifices, there will be compromises. That's a fact. It doesn't mean you have to compromise who you are, but you're gonna have to make choices and changes according to what it is that you want. So set out with a goal, this is what I want, right? If it's world domination or whatever, creatively, artists always want, I want to take over the world. Okay, well, what are you willing to do for it? For me, that wasn't my goal. So I didn't have to give up a lot of what I wanted to say or what I wanted to look like because I didn't care how many people were drawn to me at the time, right? I was young and I just was like, well, this is what I'm doing. So I think it's a choice. You have to make a clear decision and then stick to your guns.
We're going to ask her one round of questions, and then we'll open the floor to get a Q&A from the audience. You seem like, I think also from the conversation, one thing I'm getting out of it is also being content. Being content with, okay, I've achieved X, Y, and Z. I'm happy. Not keeping up with also the pressures that comes with, especially now with social media, and everything that's around us. So then, how would you define success now as the today Kelis compared to when you're starting out in your career?
I think I really understand what freedom is now, right? And that crosses so many levels. Like I said, as an American, as a black woman, as now a black American woman living in the continent, and what that looks like and what that feels like, I am content, right? That for me was the line I wouldn't cross. Like, what did I want, right? I wanted to be at peace with my life, with myself, and with my choices, and that means that the compromises that I made were very specific. I think that's what success is, right? It's like peace, knowing that you can go where you want to go, do what you need to do, feed yourself, feed your family. I don't have to be in a rat race. I'm not concerned with keeping up with anyone. I think it's just not really my personality anyway. So I feel good. I feel like I did what I set out to do, and I'm continually looking forward to try to create more and create space for us, right? Like, that's the thing, I think. And I don't wait for anyone to give me anything. I think that's the other thing, is that I don't expect anything, and I'm not waiting for anything. So it makes you a fighter, and it makes you capable and resilient. And so when you have to reinvent, sometimes it's not even by choice, it's just because, like, I had to, right? And you do it gladfully and gratefully, and then I think things start to come back that way, you know?
Would you say you're successful now?
I feel like I've been successful since I started, because I never had any markers for what it wasn't going to be. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't care. I was like, I'm going to do this. Success for me is always like, do I feel good about what I see in the mirror? Do I like her? Am I being honest? Can I go to bed at night and feel like I know her and I like her and I'm not pretending? And so I've always felt like that. And I think that's kind of what's kept me grounded and leveled in the midst of, you know, what could be a really dark industry, and able to step away, because I'm not validated by how many people like me, you know, or how many people don't like me. I don't really care either way. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, just thinking around that, from your response, in my head, I'm even redefining the whole definition of success. And yeah, we're going to open the floor to some questions before we continue. We have a couple of hands up. So we'll start with the gentleman, Paul, yeah?
Thank you. Yes, my name is Paul Atwine. I'm the founder of Save Africa. We're a not-for-profit events company here in Rwanda. As a creative, I've worked with creatives before. In Uganda, I was a comms manager for one of the biggest festivals, Nyege Nyege. Worked with a number of artists, like Major Lazer, Chronix. And the one thing I want to ask is, as a creative, as an artist, your transition to where you are now, how did you protect your IP? How did you build and protect your IP so that you can monetize your brand over the years and at least be able to do what you're doing now? Thank you.
Well, first off, I've been doing this for like 25 years, right? So I won't lie, when I started off, I didn't protect anything. It was a disaster, actually, right? Because I didn't know, and I was so young, and I was just excited, and I was like, oh my God, they're gonna give me money to sing? This is great. So in the beginning, I didn't, and I didn't understand the power in that and the importance of that, right? Like, Kelis is my actual name, and up until, you know, a few years ago, I didn't even own that name, because I didn't know that it was even a thing that someone would try to take from me, right? I think now it's being unapologetically business-oriented. I don't apologize, I'm never sorry, and I'm really just like, when it comes to business, like, you have to stand on what you want for yourself, right? I'm not the kind of person that does a lot of, what's the word, like networking, I guess. I think the things that are meant for me come to me. If I want something specific, I will go and say, hey, this person does this, I need this. I don't waste a lot of time, and that also protects my ID, my identification, the power that I have. But it's being really intentional. And like I said, when I started off, I didn't have any of those things because I didn't know. I think it's understanding your value out the gate and not allowing anyone to value you for you, right? So even, you know, simple things like someone telling you what you're worth, this is what they're gonna pay you. If you don't like it, don't take it. Something else will come, right? And it's kind of in all those things, whether it's contracts, deals, all of the things, you have to be, the power of no is a real thing. And I can't tell you, I learned that later on in my career. And it makes a big difference. You know, it's like when you do something well and you continually do it no matter what's happening, things happen and people come to you as opposed to you constantly trying to outreach and get stuff. You know, it's like then you end up spreading yourself thin and diluting and watering down. Like you said, keeping your identification, keeping your ID, keeping your power. I think that's a big thing, the power of no. Just saying no for things that don't really align with your mission or your goals, right? Like just saying, this is not for me.
Okay, we're going to get another question. Okay, we have the two ladies. We'll start with the one at the back, if we could get a microphone to her. And then we'll come to you.
Hello, everyone. It's Jerry Bree here, a fellow entrepreneur and American. And my question was, because we've been asking this all day, how, as another fellow American, how do we bridge the gap in people coming from America or understanding African culture on the continent? I know you came here and you started farms and things like that. What would you say would be the best way to, I guess, invite people or welcome them?
Oh, girl, I'm on a mission, first of all, okay? I'm like, I dedicated my whole IG page, basically, to letting people see this continent and how fantastic it is. I mean, it's true, you know, and it's a really good point, right? Like, as Americans, as Black Americans, it was so strategically done that we don't even recognize that this is our home, right? And as a result, a lot of people on the continent don't realize that we belong here, too. But it's a simple conversation. And like I said, I'm not looking for likes or, you know, whatever it is, but every day I'm trying to show something. When I first came out here, my goal wasn't even, I didn't really have a goal other than to go and look and see just like what was happening here, right? And so I brought my family out. It was 8 of us. It was ridiculous. My mom, my auntie, my sister, my kids, I was like, let's go on a trip. And I didn't even have like a goal as to where I was gonna end up, but I just started traveling around, really East Africa is where we sort of started. And the whole thing for me started, because it's been over a year now, every day I felt my breath was taken away. I was like, damn, we don't know this is like this. And I felt really ignorant because I've been touring and traveling the world for 20-something years. And I'd even been here before, but I think I was looking with different eyes, right? Like you might come here for a safari and you forget that there's so much else happening, right? And I think that's what happened. So when I came out here, I was so moved and in love and inspired and excited. And all I wanted to do was show people, our people back home, hey, look, this is so dope. Do you realize this is here? Look at how beautiful this is. This is amazing. This is freedom. And then I realized, I was like, yo, this is freedom. That was game-changing for me. And then I was like, well, I'm not going back. I actually haven't been back since I started traveling. I've been over here for over a year now, and it just was because I felt it was kind of heartbreaking also to think that all of my peers and all of my friends, we have such a warped concept of the continent, which again was done very strategically, but who's gonna fix that for us, right? No one but us. So I post every day. I'm constantly showing things. I'm like, hey, getting cocktails, getting drinks, buying shoes, eating ugali, whatever it is I'm doing. I'm like, take a look at me. And really, it's more so just so that people see there's so much life, which obviously we know that now. It sounds ridiculous to say it, but in the States, they have no idea what's happening here. They have no idea the societies, the cultures, the commerce, all the things that are happening and moving and big business and stuff and money to be made and investments and all these wonderful, powerful things that we can do with each other, which to me is the dopest thing. So I just feel like we have to show it more. Every time you go anywhere, take a picture, post it, like talk about it, let your people know. And I'm constantly inviting people over. I'm like, come out. Let me show you something. I've become a tour guide without even wanting to be, okay? Like, I'm too busy to be a tour guide, but I'm like, come, I'll take you. Let me show you. I want them to see it. That's all we can do, but it's gonna happen. It's happening.
It is happening. We're going to take another question here at the front. If you could kindly stand.
Hi, Kelis. It's an honor to have you here in the flesh. I'm a follower. And my sister literally asked my question, what sparked your interest to come to Africa? So you more or less answered what she said. So I'll follow up and ask if you can tell us about your journey, about some of your strategic investments, because I can see, especially in Kenya, you're not just a tourist anymore. You're actually investing in some of these beautiful countries that you visit. And lastly, do you have any bounty and food products that you came with, and how do we get access to them? Thank you.
Wepa, I love it. Okay. Well, the first thing was, first and foremost, I'm a woman of faith, and my genuine belief is that this is the promised land. Real talk, I feel like this is God's land. And so that's why I came out here. I came out here with my family because I wanted them to see it. I wanted my kids to see it. That was the driving force, right? I was like, I need to be where the people are. I need to put my feet in the dirt. I need to see what's happening with our folks, right? So that's what got me out here. As far as for me, I always kind of put this is what I do, right? I'm a chef, I'm a farmer. I have a farm in California, and I was like, well, I'm gonna come here and do what I know how to do. I'm doing it on a larger scale now, which is I'm excited about, but I bought land in Kenya. I want to open up a wellness retreat. I also bought land in Rwanda, so I have land here as well, which is why I'm here all the time. Because I just was like, this is one of the prettiest places, and East Africa to me is just absolutely stunning. The whole continent is filled with so many beautiful things. And I felt like if I could, I'm obsessed with my kids, as all of us or some others are, and I feel like that's my treasure, right? And what can I give a nation more than anything I've done are my kids. They're smart, they're educated, and they're part of this nation now, right? And so that to me is what the whole mission was like, how do I become part of this? How do I get my feet in this dirt and like plant myself, right? And so I've got the land in Naivasha. I'm looking at some stuff in Tanzania, really East Africa, just because this is where I'm at and this is where I landed. But yeah, farming first and foremost, agriculture, and then wellness in the Black space I think is missing. And so when you asked about the products, what I found was that when I was in California, most of the products that I was sourcing were from here. And I was just like, oh gosh, so I need to go and, so I'm trying to find all this Nilotica shea butter and trying to find all of these wonderful things that are growing out of the ground here just naturally. And that's, for me now, manufacturing in Kenya, so that I have a whole East African side of the products. So we're working on getting them here in the very near future, so they will be available.
Okay, Diana, you have your answer. So we're going to wrap this conversation, but I just want to get, because throughout the day today, we've been trying to find ways, how can we unlock the cultural as well as our creative industry? As you've experienced, we have so much power. We have so much power as a continent, and we haven't even tapped into 1% of it. So from your creative background, how best could we go about it? Or even what kind of innovations, what areas could young people be looking for us to just maximize on the potential we have as a continent?
I mean, I think it is about intercontinental, right? It's about like kind of erasing the borders that were put up. I think even having events like this are really important because you've got people from all over the continent that are here. You've got people from the diaspora coming. I think continually having these conversations and creating space for people to see what can be done, creating investment opportunities. I'm relentless, so I was going to make it happen regardless, but setting up situations where people can come and invest maybe on a smaller scale so that they can start and just see that it's feasible and that it will be lucrative and that this is a place where you can put your money, make money, share, grow, create jobs, kinds of all those things. I think it's really just about creating space to have these conversations.